How cool is that? Yeah.
I spent a long time on the phone with Nick Welch, yeah. I spent a long time on the phone with him.
They didn't read the fine print.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there is.
Got a little competition now.
Why do you?
Because we're not telling anybody what we're doing. We're not guaranteeing.
Yeah.
No, but it's okay. Good morning, and welcome to this May 17th meeting of the SBCAG Board of Directors. And would you call the roll, Ms. Contreras?
Directors Williams, Wolf,
Here.
Adam,
Here.
Lavanino,
Here.
Richardson,
Here.
Lizaldi,
Here.
Mosby,
Here.
Bennett,
Here.
Clark,
Here.
Murillo,
Here.
Waterfield. She's there. Sierra,
Here.
and Chair Hartman.
Here, and please stand for the pledge. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And before we go to public comment on items not on today's agenda, we have a double birthday today, Director Adam and Director Wolf.
Yeah, do it.
I thought you said a word.
Birthday. So we want to wish you both a happy birthday. And I know you've had a special kinship because you share this day. Even
One thing we have in common.
Mr. Chairman. Hello. Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara. Hello.
Hello. Director Lizaldi?
Two sides of the same coin.
Yes, we have one more birthday.
A third, and who's that?
Steve Kahn.
Steve Kahn.
City of Santa
Oh,
City of Santa Maria.
fabulous. Well, welcome to this elite club, I guess. Okay. We would like to turn now to the matters at hand, which is public comment for matters not on today's agenda. Ms. Contreras, do we have any slips?
Yes, we have one speaker slip, Mr. Scott Wenz.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Scott Wenz representing Cars Are Basic. What I'm going to say is basically going to sound like an attack. It's not mean-spirited. But we want to know what the heck has happened to this organization. You're supposed to be gatekeepers. You're supposed to be watchers of how the public money is being spent. City of Carpinteria, City of Goleta, City of Santa Barbara have put forth bulb outs. Bulb outs are very expensive. Not one of these organizations has submitted an EIR under the CEQA. The City of Santa Barbara, we've demanded for over a decade the information necessary to prove that these items work. They don't. Bicycle Master Plan. Where in the heck is the EIR for the Bicycle Master Plan? We don't know. City of Carpinteria hasn't produced one. This organization should be having a checklist, and if the doggone checklist hasn't been met, I don't care who it is, then it gets kicked back to that organization. The County of Santa Barbara submitted a proposal for a roundabout at San Ysidro. It passed all the way up. We went to Caltrans. They said, you can't do this. They haven't voted on it. We came to this board. You said, you can't do this. They haven't voted on it. It went all the way to the federal government. Federal government funded it. We said, you can't do that. That was never voted on. This organization and its staff never caught it. And we came before each and every one. We sent letters to Caltrans. We sent letters to the federal government. Tom Becker in here multiple times saying, you can't do this. Your organization and your staff is incompetent or in the bag for a specific point of view. And that's the only conclusion we can come to. The last time this organization took this organization, Cars Are Basic, serious. We came after MTD. MTD is still playing the same games, by the way. When we were done, MTD's director was forced to resign. 50% of the MTD board resigned in disgrace. And then when MTD came back and says, well, we're going to do hybrid buses now. You caught us at it. We're not going to do that. And we pointed out, if you don't do the hybrid buses but do natural gas, you can replace all of the diesel fleet and fuel it for 3 years for the same amount of money. This organization said, we don't care. What is wrong with the staff? We asked for a simple item. When was somebody promoted? Date and month. Haven't received an answer. It should have been easy. Something's wrong here, and you as directors need to start taking a look. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public speaker slips?
There's no more public comment.
Okay, turning to our consent calendar, does any director wish to pull any item? Anybody in Santa Maria wish to pull any item?
No.
Thank you.
Chair Hartman, we do have public comment on item 4C.
Okay, would you read that into the record?
Certainly. 4C, Measure A South Coast Bicycle and Pedestrian and Safe Routes to School Program. Approve and authorize the chair to sign Amendment Number 1 to the Measure A South Coast Regional Bicycle and Pedestrian and Safe Routes to School Program Cycle 3 Cooperative Agreement with the City of Goleta to include the Mid-Block Crossway Project and the Fairview Avenue at Kyriel Sidewalk Infill Project. Mr. Scott Wins for public comment.
Again, Madam Chair, Scott Wins representing Cars Are Basic. Again, we came before you when this stuff was on the regular agenda and said, what's going on? Within this, there's a $300,000 item, let's educate people on how to ride bicycles. And it's gone to the Bicycle Coalition. I came before you a year and a half ago and said, the Bicycle Coalition was funded nationally with an $88 million grant from a private organization. They run and operate their organization both statewide, locally, off of the income that comes from that $88 million. They haven't even touched the principal. You're giving money to an organization that should be providing this for free? Come on, people. Where is staff stating, well, you know, why are we doing this when they have all this money? They have income property down on Haley Street. They have a fully paid staff. In 20 years of Cars Are Basic, not one individual has ever been paid to do what we do. So what's going on here? And this goes back to my comment at public comment. What's going on? We don't get this. The city of Santa Barbara has a bulb out in the Safe Routes to School program for Cayecita up on North La Cumbre. They can't prove that bulb outs work. I brought this before the council. I brought it before the mayor multiple times. Where's the data? Where's the environmental impact report that's demanded by the California Environmental Quality Act that says if you're going to dig up dirt and you're going to put in stuff, you have to have an EIR. If an EIR had been done for every one of these bulb outs in the city of Santa Barbara, they would have been canceled because they can't prove they work. There is no report worldwide that we've been able to find that says a bulb out is safe for pedestrians. I have gone before the American College of Sports Medicine meeting at international conferences, and I asked the incoming chair, who was chairing an item on this specific item, where is your proof? She got so angry with me, she cut off my mic. That never happens. I embarrassed an international expert because she couldn't prove it. If she can't prove it, and the city of Santa Barbara can't prove it, and the city of Carpinteria can't prove it, and the city of Goleta can't prove it, then why are you guys doing this stuff? Your staff isn't doing its job.
Thank you. So I bring this back to the board. Are there any additional comments? And if not, may I have a motion to approve the administrative agenda? So moved. May I have a second? Second. And would you call the roll?
Directors Wolf? Aye. Adam? Aye. Lavanino? Aye. Richardson? Aye. Lizaldi?
Aye.
Mosby? Aye. Bennett? Aye. Clark? Aye. Murillo?
Aye.
Waterfield?
Aye.
Sierra? Aye. And Chair Hartman.
Aye.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. That concludes the administrative agenda items. So we turn to item number 5. Would you read that into the record?
Item 5, Senate Bill 1, Cycle 1 Competitive Program Awards. Receive a presentation on California Transportation Commission actions for SBCAG applications for Senate Bill 1, Cycle 1 Competitive Applications for Santa Barbara US 101 Multimodal Corridor.
Mr. Kachuk.
Okay, sorry. Thank you, Madam Chair, Directors. Sarkis Kachuk with SBCAG. Well, today is a very exciting day, not just for our agency, but for our region and travelers in our county as well. Our agency and Caltrans have been working together for, oh my gosh, how many years, Scott? It's been a really long time, but on implementing improvements in our corridor from the Ventura County line to the city of Santa Barbara to help relieve congestion. And yesterday, we received really good news from the California Transportation Commission, which I'll touch on in a second. But after many months of partnership with Caltrans, we were awarded $188.3 million by the CTC. This was one of the biggest awards statewide, and we were really excited. Director Kern, Deputy Executive Director Hart, and I were there for the action. And so this process started back when Senate Bill 1 was passed by the legislature and the governor last year. And then in October, the California Transportation Commission initiated a guidelines process as well as a call for projects. And so SBCAG, in partnership with Caltrans District 5, went about on a strategy to best represent our project to the CTC, and so we jointly developed and submitted applications requesting the $188.3 million. And after review and evaluation by the CTC staff, they recommended our funding for our project on April 25th, and then yesterday the CTC approved the funds. And so what this funding will do is provide multiple improvements. So as I said, it's $183.8 million total. The funding comes from 2 programs. The first program is the Solutions for Congested Corridors program, so that provided $133 million. And then we were also awarded an additional $51 million from the freight pot. And then just to let you know how we were able to leverage our Measure A funding, our Measure A match was $76 million. So this is just the Cycle 1 money. There's also SHOP money and STIP money, which we've previously let you know about. That was about $220 million. So we received a large investment from the state. The funding for the 101 HOV will help us fund phases 4A through C. This will provide 15 miles of HOV lane from Carpinteria to Sheffield. And so we're going to have the extension of the HOV lanes, which was a main component of the Congested Corridors program. Only HOV projects were eligible for that program, which made us competitive and ultimately successful. The local projects received $30 million in funding from the Congested Corridors program as an addition to our HOV project. For 4A, you'll see on this map the yellow square. This segment includes the Santa Claus Lane Class 1 Bikeway, which received $6.8 million, and the Santa Monica Via Real intersection improvements, which received $3.6 million. For 4B, the funding is for Santa Claus Lane Streetscape at $7 million and North Padero Lane Coastal Access Improvements at $3 million. And then last but not least, 4C includes funding for the Summerlin Area Coastal Access Improvements at $8 million. So we were really excited. I think when you have an opportunity like this and you're competing with other large regions statewide, being one of the smaller regions in the state, we were able to do well. I did want to thank our team because there were a lot of people that helped out with this. And so at SBCAG, it was Director Kern and Deputy Executive Director Hart and Fred Luna. At Caltrans, it was Scott Eads and John Olenek, along with many others, which I I wish I could name, but for time, it's a long list. Our state lobbyist, Gus Corey, he was really instrumental with the passage of SB1 and then actually coordinating our meetings with state leaders. Our corridor advisor, Tony Harris with Point C, and his staff, Thomas Salazik. Our grant writing firm with Kimberly Horn, your board was able to provide us support for that, so Alyssa Fanouf and Renee Rivas. So this was a really instrumental team effort and team accomplishment, and so we're very proud of the work. So with that, we realize we still have segments D and E and those parallel projects, so we're going to work with Caltrans again in partnership to identify and secure funding from the state from cycle 2 of SB1. And then we look forward to speaking with you next month related to the Measure A program and how we will be able to implement these projects for segments A, B, and C and the parallel projects. And so with that, that concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to take any questions at this time.
Well, congratulations, and it really does take teamwork and coordinating, and it's just an extraordinary announcement that you bring to us and to our community today, and thank you for all your efforts. And Director Adam.
I'm just wondering if the Measure A match gets split north and south under the usual rules.
The Measure A match for this project? The Measure A match for this is just straight off the top from the 101 HOV widening project.
Okay, so then
the $140 million.
Okay, that gets taken off the top, and then it gets pushed back.
Yes, 50-50 north and south after that.
Right. Okay. So I mean, this puts us significantly ahead of schedule with the funding on this project, right? So if that's the case, are we going to be reviewing our project list soon? And that way we can put that Robinson Bridge up at the top of that?
Madam Chairperson, if I may, that would be up to the board on the priorities, but yes, that's our intent, was to kick off the Measure A strategic plan this summer, and we scheduled a board workshop prior to your June meeting to start the discussion and lay out the schedule of updating that strategic plan, and that was the intent. With the funding picture that's changed dramatically since April of last year and this funding award, we have a whole new ball game that didn't exist when Measure A was passed.
So this money's in the bag already, right? This is not dependent on that tax surviving?
This is dependent upon SB1 not being repealed in November, yes.
Ah, okay. All right, well then let's count those chickens.
Director Lavanino.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Congratulations, great job.
It was a team effort.
Yes, everybody, that was for everybody. And and you said you're going to come back next month, because what I'd like to see is really go back over the whole 101 widening project and talk about each segment again and kind of break down where all that funding's coming from and where it's going.
We will definitely do that.
And then part of that, I hope, is also not just and maybe that's what Peter was asking about, the financial piece of what is that, if that frees us up to do anything, or if it just brings our, scrunches our schedule up. So, I mean, our whole talking points about the 101, I think now have changed about timing and funding and all that stuff. So it'd be good to go back all over that again.
Yes, we will present all that information, and then that way the board has a better idea of.
And one other thing, so the other 220 that went to shop and stip. So that's just for 101 widening also?
Just 101 widening and just for A to C.
Okay. So basically we've gotten over $400 million over the last 2 months just for that project.
Yes.
Director Adam.
So what is the timing on that money?
On this funding right here?
Yeah.
The funding is programmed in fiscal years 1920, and then it'll be 2021 also to help with the delivery of A, B, and C.
Okay, so that's if it doesn't get repealed in November, it's a year out before you get a dollar.
Yes, so we would have to submit a request to the CTC in fiscal year 1920 for the funding, and then that's when the funds will be received.
Okay. I just love the way that we we count this. You know, it seems a little bit disingenuous to have these announcements of all these millions and hundreds of millions of dollars coming out, and it's not real.
Madam
Director
Chair.
Well, I mean, it's not
Well,
real.
It already passed.
The
The
law-
only way it wouldn't get here is if it gets repealed. So,
The law exists.
yeah, the law exists. It's already there.
Okay. All right.
Okay, seeing no more lights. Oh, please.
Thank you. On behalf of the city of Santa Barbara, our residents, and the people who commute from other places and work in our city, thank you so much and congratulations to the staff. And really, Executive Director Kern, this is your leadership that did this. I mean, your staff, us, people complaining, and the legislation, but really thank you. I know it's been a long process and we've had our challenges, and I think you just brought it all together and you're the glue. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
And any comments in Santa Maria?
No, we're fine.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any public comment slips?
No public comment.
Okay, this is just an informational item, so we're moving on to item number 6. Would you read that into the record, Ms. Contreras?
Item 6, peak hour rail service update. Receive update on peak hour Pacific Surfliner rail service and Cap and Trade Transit and Intercity Rail Capital Program awards.
Mr. Spalding.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I know we're very rushed for time, so we had a presentation for you that we gave to the South Coast Committee last week. We're going to push that off to next month. Just wanted to cover a couple of items on this. SBCAG applied for and received 2 Transit Intercity Rail Capital Program grants. One was for $13 million to construct a train station at the current Goleta platform and expand parking there. The second one was for $9.6 million to purchase some electric buses and support our new peak hour rail trip with bus trips, particularly from Oxnard, which is not served with our Coastal Express service right now. So the other correction or update, actually it's not a correction that I wanted to mention in the staff report, is the Losan JPA applied for almost $200 million under that same program. And in the staff report, it referenced that we received $147 million. We learned since this was published that actually the entire $200 million was awarded, so that gap was made up from other funding sources. There's a listing of the projects in the staff report, everything from the adding a second platform in Carpinteria, which is going to be a real game changer for service, to some of the other projects in there, particularly double tracking in between Camarillo and Oxnard. So I think with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions about this, but we do plan to come back and give you a little bit more details, a little bit more of a visual overview that we gave to the South Coast Committee last week.
Just wanted to add that it was a really amazing presentation, a visual overview. I've never seen the South Coast region like I saw it at the subcommittee meeting, so we're in for a treat.
It's a cool way to look at things.
Any comments? And unless I see somebody waving in Santa Maria, I won't keep bothering you. So we have no comments up here. Do we have any public comment slips?
Yes, we have one public comment, Mr. Scott Wins.
Madam Chair, Scott Wins representing Cars Are Basic. Has anybody looked at the greater LA area where they spent literally hundreds of millions of dollars into the billions for their light rail system? How many people have they driven from the freeways? They haven't. Part of this issue is how much money is going to be spent. Now, I'm just an old PE major. You know, I used to coach football. I don't know numbers all that well. But I took a look at the numbers that were in this program, and it looks like you're spending over $200 million on sidings and stations. Losan stated a year ago that the project was up 500% over the original estimate. Well, under the Trump administration, this economy has started to boom, and the state of California looks like it may be going closer to 4% growth. Every time you have a boom growth like that, the costs of goods and services goes up because people are competing for those goods and services. That's just a given. Then there's the issue of UP. UP owns that rail line. It's not the purview of the state of California or the county of Santa Barbara. It appears to be here that you're bribing UP with $40 million to make up for their freight loss. You're interfering with a private business for an item that it really isn't proving out. The only place that Amtrak even is coming close is on the Northeast Corridor, and that's because it's so dense that it has people stacked on top of people. You know, you're going to buy electric buses. Lithium-ion batteries, wonderful. They hold a lot of energy, don't they? You ever seen the toxic effect of mining lithium? Have you ever seen the refinement toxicity of lithium? Have you ever seen, as just recently happened with a Tesla that was towed into a yard and it was sitting there, and all of a sudden the battery pack started to burn hot? It burns almost as hot as phosphorus does. What are you going to do with lithium after you get done with expending all that capability? Then you have to remediate it. This plan, with the attendant expenses that are going to explode in your face, does not even include operation costs and personnel costs.
Thank you, Mr. Wins. So are there any other comments on this item number 6? Again, that's just informational, so turning to item number 7, Ms. Contreras.
Item 7, SBCAG bylaws. Review and recommend approval of the revised SBCAG bylaws.
Director Kern.
Madam Chairperson, members of the board, before you are revisions to the bylaws. In reviewing the bylaws on my employment, I noticed that there were some inconsistencies between the bylaws and several of your ordinances that you've adopted in the past. So the County Council and I went through the bylaws with a fine-tooth comb and tried to eliminate those inconsistencies and add some more substance of why we exist and policies and principles, in addition to clarifying those inconsistencies. So the revisions have been reviewed by your executive committee at their meeting, and included in the bylaws says that the executive committee should review any bylaw changes. So we presented these bylaw changes to your executive committee at their meeting last month, and they recommended approval with one slight change to clarify the membership of the North County Subregional. In addition, since the agenda went out, I received comments from Jerry Estrada from MTD regarding some wording changes under the principle to clarify that we are a regional transportation authority, not a transit authority, and I concurred with that change, as well as the membership for the South Coast Subregional, including MTD on the South Coast Subregional as a voting member on all items other than Measure A items. So those clarifications have been identified and included in the handout that was passed out this morning, and I think sent. Do we send that ahead of time? So those were sent to you as well for your review. So at this time, this executive committee and staff recommend that we adopt these new bylaws and be effective immediately.
Thank you. Are there any questions that board members have? Director Richardson was. Oh, Director Wolf. Sorry. It's okay.
Thank you, Margie, for pulling this all together and getting us some consistencies in our documents. I really appreciate that. I'm going to be voting in favor of these changes, okay, but not without some reservation. And it's not about the changes in the bylaws, but I just when the item came to us back in October of 2011 about the makeup of the North County Subregional, where we included the first district supervisor. And the board at that time, although I dissented, but the board stated that that first district supervisor would not be permitted to vote on Measure A items.
Correct.
And the concern that I had at the time was that essentially Cuyama and any other North County area that district supervisor was representing was not getting the representation that they deserved. So unfortunately, I had a motion at that time that was different than the one that passed. My motion failed. I voted against the motion that did pass, which is what we're seeing right here.
Correct.
And I can only hope that in the future we may be able to come back and look at this again, because I really think from a policy issue, this is blatantly unfair to a whole group of residents in the North County that are not being represented or able to have a voice in receiving Measure A funds. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Do we have any public comment slips?
No public comment.
Okay. May I have a motion then to approve the changes in the bylaws? Oh,
Just a little
Supervisor.
clarification. So it's not that, and I didn't catch the last sentence, but I thought you said that they would not be able to receive Measure A funds. But Cuyama, it's not that, and I don't want to get into the whole thing, but it's not that Cuyama wouldn't get Measure A funds. They still could get the Measure A funds, and just so the other side of that argument was that that's not what the people of North County voted for when they voted for Measure A, did not understand. I mean, the map changed after Measure A came into existence. So, I mean, I see the value of both sides of it, but.
If I could, Madam Chair, and thank you for clarifying that. You're right. They could receive funds. In my motion that I made back then, it was to refer the item back to the committee. What are they called? The
Executive Committee?
Not the executive. Oh. It was the Oversight Committee to bring back recommendations so that they could let us know how we deal with it. And that was the motion that failed. So thank you for clarifying. It just still is a concern of mine. Thank you.
Just a question. Is this anything that we would review in our workshop on Measure A?
It can. I mean, if there are some changes that are recommended by this board that would require a change in our bylaws, changing the ordinance would be a more challenging endeavor, because that would require to go back to the voters. I don't know. Changes to the bylaws can happen basically when requested by the board.
Director Sierra.
Okay, I just wanted to put in my comments. The North County voted that the first district supervisor did not vote on Measure A items because with the districting that went on, for the most part, first district is in the south. The only city or area that they cover up in the north is Cuyama. And we've actually never turned down a request for Measure A money going to Cuyama. But that was the reason for the decision, and I think it was a good one.
Well, I don't really feel a strong sense to revisit this. I think Director Wolf wanted to register her, explain her position on this, and so.
So I'll make a motion that we move staff recommendation.
May I have a second? And would you call the vote, Ms. Contreras?
Directors Wolf?
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
Lavanino? Aye. Richardson? Aye. Lizaldi?
Aye.
Mosby? Aye. Bennett?
Aye.
Clark? Aye. Murillo?
Aye.
Waterfield?
Aye.
Sierra? Aye. And Chair Hartman?
Aye.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Our 1-minute reports. Does anyone have a 1-minute report they'd like to make? Director Murillo?
Thank you so much. So yesterday, as part of Cycle Mania, we had the mayor's bike ride, and we went from De La Guerra Plaza, right in front of City Hall, down to Stearns Wharf, and then we ate lunch and then came back. I'm a little sunburned. And it was wonderful, and I look forward to participating in more bicycle-friendly events. We want our residents to ride their bikes more, and I congratulate Traffic Solutions for helping with that. And in terms of more serious matters, the city is submitting 2 ATP grants for our State Street undercrossing, so where State Street goes under Highway 101. And we're trying to make improvements there for pedestrians and safer bike lanes. So thanks.
Any 1-minute reports in Santa Maria?
No.
Okay.
I do have one.
Okay, Director Wolf.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Also for Cyclemania, we are having a ribbon cutting on May 30th at the San Jose Creek bike path that was largely funded by Measure A funds, and we're going to be meeting there at 10 o'clock. And then for those who want to, there is going to be a bike trek over to another bike path on the other side of Hollister. So I may be as brave as you, Kathy, and actually get on the bike and do that, but it's definitely open to everyone. But we're thrilled to have, it's the Auburn Trail bike path that's been redone on the other side of Hollister. So it's going to be a fun morning, but again, thanks to everyone from SBCAG staff, Cyclemania, to work on this exciting phase of our project. Thank you.
Director Richardson.
Since we're on bicycles, the city of Solvang, is in a study to extend the Class 1 bicycle path from Highway 246 to Sunnyfield Park. We're having a workshop in Solvang on the 30th, and we're all invited to make comment regarding the 6 possible approaches from 246 to the park. And along with the mayor's bicycle ride, Solvang will have a mayor's bicycle ride, and it'll be on the 24th, starting at noon. And we want to see a crowd, because I haven't been on a bicycle since I got a driver's license. So we're going to see what that's like.
Well, we need a 3rd district bicycle ride. That's true, okay. Yeah, all right. I want to put Mr. Becker on the spot. We have 2 grants that we got in the San Ynez Valley, one for bike master plan and the other for a plan. I wonder if you would talk about those.
Sure. The bicycle master plan is not a grant, it wasn't competitive. It's SB1 formula funds that we received. We allocated $120,000 over the next year to develop a bicycle master plan for the valley, and that came at the request of the city of Solvang. I think there was a lot of advocates in the valley, and it was deemed a worthwhile endeavor to try and put the thoughts together and develop a plan for the whole valley. So it'll include the cities of Buellton and Solvang, and also the unincorporated county. And then on the other grant, I know Margie was going to mention it.
Oh, sorry.
We received, I believe it was at the, based on a lot of comments from this board, we received $300,000 from the state, SB1 competitive funds, which will go on top of $25,000 from each SBCAG and the Chumash tribe. And that is to do a traffic circulation and safety study of the valley, focusing primarily on the state routes 246, 154, and the 101.
Well, thank you. I think you wrote them, so maybe, or worked really hard on it, so I'm glad you got to announce it. And thanks, that really appreciate it. And thanks to Caltrans, who first brought that to our attention. And it's going to make a huge difference in the San Ynez Valley, so thank you.
Thank you.
Director Richardson.
I want to thank you for the grant request and the grant award. But I'd like to, as far as the study goes between 154 and the 101, I'd like some thought putting into an alternate or a bypass around Solvang as a part of that study, because the congestion on that highway is in Solvang, and we're looking for an alternate bypass for the city. And if there can be something worked out, it would be welcomed.
Thank you.
We want people driving through our city slowly, but those that just don't want to stop,
Hey, every time I drive through Solvang, it's slow. Okay, so I don't want to go any slower, for sure.
Turning to our executive director.
Madam Chairperson, members of the board. A lot going on at SBCAG. But first of all, I want to talk about the City of Carpinteria, our Linden Casitas project. The overcrossing over Linden Avenue will be closed for a week. So, but the contractor has up to 3 weeks to complete the project, but they think they can get it done in a week. So that closure will start this weekend. And you might get some comments about that, but hopefully it'll be done before the graduation start in June. You already heard about the Santa Ynez circulation and safety study, so I won't repeat that. I guess I just did. We're also scheduling a ribbon cutting for the 246 North, before or after? After the North County Subregional on June 13th. So we hope everybody can attend that. And I just got a word that the Las Positas Modac bike project was funded this morning for $15 million by the CTC, so you can just add that to our list of funding that we got yesterday and today. I do want to remind you that we do have our June 21st study session prior to the board at 9 a.m. in here. Santa Barbara will actually be in the back room. It's open to the public, but it'll be a less formal setting to discuss all the details with the 101 project as we move forward. And then last but not least, it's with sad news that I have to announce, this will be Bobby Didier's last meeting. She's retiring in June. She's been with us for over 10 years, and she's our chief financial officer, and she's been a rock behind this agency and making sure that we do the right thing and are on the straight and narrow path. I'm going to miss her, so I don't want to start crying or anything right now. So, but if Bobby would like to say anything to the board, it's up to her. She doesn't really want to, so I don't want to force her, but I want to thank her for her work and being such a great ally and co-worker for me in my new position here at SBCAG. It's been wonderful working with you.
Thank you. And I just want to take the opportunity to tell you it's been a pleasure to work for all of you and with you. And with the staff, especially Margie, she's been a delight. I hope you appreciate what a gem you have. And the staff are fabulous. Mm-hmm. And I think you realize that, especially today with all the great announcements, that's due to their hard work and long hours and long trips and all of that goes into getting these kinds of awards. So it's been my honor and privilege, and the last 10 years has been very rewarding, and it's been my pleasure to contribute to the mission and values of SBCAG. So thank you for that opportunity.
Bombi. On behalf of the board, thank you for your exemplary work, and we wish you well in retirement. Turning to our Caltrans Executive Director report, Mr. Eads.
Okay. Chair Hartman, members of the board, I'm Scott Eads here again today, Corridor Manager for 101, representing the District Director. So I have a few items to highlight for you. First of all, I have to again give a shout out for all the work that went into the grant applications and the announcement yesterday by the CTC. I know firsthand that there were many staff working through the holidays, literally on their vacation days in some cases, helping to put together the grant applications that we were so successful with. So really appreciate all the work of the SBCAG staff, the Caltrans staff, and the SBCAG consultant staff that brought that to this point. And then also want to highlight, there's already been mentioned, the Sustainable Community Planning grants that were announced. In addition to the Santa Ynez Valley Traffic Circulation and Safety Study, we also awarded funds for the Santa Maria Active Transportation Plan, which was another one of the Sustainable Community Planning grants. So that's good news. And then also under the Adaptation Planning grants, there was a Santa Barbara County Goleta Beach Park adaptive management plan. So essentially we have a portion of the park there that's eroding due to sea level rise, and it's going to erode the parking and then move into the state highway and then move into the airport runway at some point. So what we're looking for is an opportunity to plan for a long-term solution to protect our resources in that area. So that's another great announcement that we have today. Moving on to 192, just want to highlight some of the work that's taking place to reestablish circulation through the 192 corridor related, as an after effect of the 1-9 event. Demo has begun to remove some of the bridges that need to be replaced. So those activities are already starting. We anticipate that those will be taking place later this month and through June. We also have continued to work on the design for those structures, making great progress there. The design is nearing completion. We also have had good success working with a group of local stakeholders represented by the Montecito Association, the Montecito BAR, and county planning and public works staff to help us refine the aesthetics. Caltrans actually came into the process with some more involved and robust aesthetics as a first cut, and this group actually helped, just came to consensus this week on a way to simplify the project design, which is actually going to help us get these to construction sooner and probably cost less. So it's a feat in terms of that local coordination. We really appreciate the input and the ability to work through an emergency project process to help get the input and end up with some nice looking structures that we're all going to be proud of. Again, utility coordination and relocation is going to be a driving factor of when those structures get replaced. So we're continuing to monitor that, continuing to work with utility companies, and that's likely going to really be the driver for us getting those constructed. Also want to highlight another SB1, a couple SB1 projects that are out to construction. Route 1 between Los Cruces and 246 Junction. It's a 40-mile long pavement job, $17 million in cost to replace and repave the pavement in this long structure, in this 40-mile length stretch of highway. Work began on Monday. And we are looking at alternating lane closures in the evenings from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. Sunday night through Friday mornings. So that's something that will be taking place over the coming months. We're excited to start on that. Another one that I want to highlight is the 101 restriping project in Santa Barbara and San Luis Obispo counties. I think just down in District 7 in Ventura County, we're seeing something similar where we're replacing removing the striping that's there now and then replacing it on the outside. Those are with 6-inch wide stripes. So it's moving to a higher level of visibility with these new wider stripes. It also has benefits for automated vehicle technologies and other stuff, but certainly for every driver, it's going to be helpful because the striping is going to be more visible. And that's a $4.9 million project that's taking place over the coming months as well. That's all I have today, so I'd happy to take any questions if there are any.
Director Richardson.
I know your plate is full. District 5 plate is very full. We in Solvang had a goals workshop, and one of the goals that is on our agenda and for your horizon is to accelerate the Alamo Pintado 246 crossing. It ties in with the bike path extension and those sorts of things. So we would encourage you to see if there's any method that you can use to accelerate the process, even to the point of Solvang contributing some funding to make that work. Number 2, Solvang had just sent a request into District 5 for signal lights at the bottom of Skit Mesa on the 246 in Solvang. The warrants have been finished and they have been submitted to Caltrans. So if we could, the residents of Skit Mesa are really in dire need of a intersection, a signaling intersection there. So if that would be on your horizon, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Director Murillo.
Thank you. Mr. Eads, did you say, and I missed it, the time frame of the 192 projects? Are you still on target? What are we? We're May 2018. What are we looking at in terms of improving the circulation in there, please?
Okay, Director Marino, Chair Hartman. No, I did not give a time frame.
Okay.
Again, it's going to be driven by the utility companies, and that's somewhat out of our control. We're doing everything we can to coordinate with them. Of course, these utility companies are incredibly busy with everything else associated with the event going on. So we're hoping that we can begin construction this summer, and specifically when we're done is uncertain. It's going to be bridge by bridge as soon as the utilities are out of the way. and we have the contractor. The contractor's ready to roll. So really, it's as soon as the demo's complete, structure by structure, we can begin construction as soon as the utilities are out of the way. So it's going to each structure has its own time frame, and we'll be just working as quickly as we can.
And are you starting at one end or the other, or did I understand you're doing them all at one time?
It's going to be dependent on the ground conditions.
Understood.
And so it's basically based on readiness. So the design is really ready for all the structures. The bridge, there's 2 structures where we only need to replace bridge rail, and work has begun on replacing those, and I think those are going to move quickly. Those will be open to 2 lanes of traffic in each direction probably within a few months. The remaining structures where it's full replacements, I don't have a firm time frame on that because it's going to be dependent on the utilities.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Director Sierra and then Director Lizaldi.
Thank you very much. Scott, I was just curious. I've had a couple people ask me about maintenance on 101, the mowing, that the grass and weeds are getting high, and we're going into our fire season, and I was just wondering if that's on the schedule for soon, or I know you're a little busy right now.
I don't know. I know that that's something that is a routine annual event for us, and so I will follow up and get back to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And Director Lizaldi.
Yes. Do we have a starting date for the project for 166 and Highway 1?
I'm looking through my list here. I don't, but I would be happy to get back to you on that as well. So I'll follow up with you.
Thank you. Do we have a starting date?
I don't. I'm not sure, but I will certainly look into that, and I'll get back to you personally on that.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Turning then to committee reports and Van Pools and Director Richardson.
Yeah, it's the California Van Pool. We had a one-item meeting. It was to authorize the signing of a $6 million grant to purchase 154 vans, 15-passenger vans. Some will be fitted with a hybrid package, which will be part electric and part gas, similar to a Prius, and it intends to save 25% on fuel. And it'll be primarily, the vans will be primarily distributed in San Joaquin Valley, but with some outreach outside the San Joaquin Valley. And it was passed unanimously by the CalVans board, and we adjourned just after that. So that was the meeting. Thank you.
Okay. And Director Kern, where are we going next?
We are going to walk or go downstairs, take the elevator or walk to a press conference to talk about the 101 funding that was received yesterday. So
and there's going to be cake.
And there's cake afterwards as a reward for attending. So
and to celebrate some birthdays.
And celebrate your birthdays with a $183 million check.
One comment. The City Selection Committee is to meet following this meeting directly at 11 o'clock scheduled in the boardroom. So may I have the mayors into the boardroom so we can perform that function. We're going to select a representative for the Santa Barbara County Oversight Board for the RDA.
I wonder if that might wait.
Schedule on an agenda for 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And that's just the mayors.
Yeah, the mayor is scheduled to be at the press conference, so maybe there could be a 15-minute.
If we can announce that there will be a delay in the agenda, okay. So after the press conference.
All right.
We have
and
to,
after the
Mr. Richardson?
It's important that it happen, or the governor will make the assignment. So, you know, and that's Jerry Brown.
Yes, so right now, I adjourn this meeting. We reconvene June 21st, Thursday at 10 a.m. here in Santa Barbara.